Good afternoon, Miss Lillian. Today, we would like to present our project. Our groups consist of Lim Jing Kai, Lim Ren Ai, Lee Xing Yi, and Yun Xuan, and me, Tan Yu Xiang. The title of the news is Singapore execute Indian origin Malaysia despite please he was disabled. The date of this article was 28 April 2022, and the time was 12:47 AM Indian Standard Time. Now, let me briefly tell you about the news. On 27 April 2022, Nagendra K. Dharmilingam, 34 years old, he was executed by Singapore courts because he is trafficking about 1.5 pounds, there is 45 grams of heroin to Singapore. Nagendra supporters and laws say his IQ is 69 and intellectually disabled. If a person who have below that 70 IQs means he or she is a mentally ill person. According to international human rights laws, person who have mentally ill who has mentally ill was prohibited to execute. But Singapore court cited psychiatrist testimonial said he was not mentally disabled, and he understood what he was doing when he trafficking heroin. At the end, Singapore execute him and his body be brought to his hometown in Malaysia, north state of Perak for a funeral. Next, I would like to hand over to Eunice to the ethical or social responsibility issues.
Thank you, Yushang, for summarizing the news. I'm Yushang, and I would like to share about the ethical or social responsibility issue in this news. As we all know from the class, social responsibility is one's actions must benefit the whole society. However, Nagendra's actions that trafficking drugs from Malaysia to Singapore had harmed the society. And so that this action is social irresponsible. While ethical dilemma occurs when Nagendra is mentally ill, we need to decide whether execute a person with mentally ill or not. As Nagendra might not know, trafficking drugs go against to the law. In this situation, Singapore courts decide to execute Nagendrans according to their law. Here is the different view on Malaysia and Singapore. In Malaysia government views, the execution on Nagendran is wrong. This is because a person who intellectually disabled will not know the right or wrong of his action. However, in the Singapore court view, they carry out their social responsibility by punishing people who traffic drugs into their country. And this will protect their citizens from harm. That's all I want to share. And now I would like to pass to Ren Ai to share about the theory.
Thank you, Yun Shuang. Good afternoon, Ms. Lilian. I'm Ren Ai. Based on the utilitarianism theory, we know for the greatest good, which is for the judgment of Nagendra, it will maximize the happiness of people in Singapore. Also, as warning, do not use drugs and let the people not to dare to traffic drugs in Singapore. In the other side of utilitarianism, the judgment of Nagendra was dealing with death penalty, and it caused maximize of unhappiness of Nagendra's family. According to the consequentialism, as a citizen, we have a moral duty to follow and think about the outcome, which is to maximize pleasure and minimize pain of people. Therefore, selling drugs to the society is a wrong action, as it causes the worst outcome, such as domestic violence, a family divorce, stealing, and so on. Next, I will to pass to Li Xingyi to continue the deontological theory.
Hello, I'm Cindy. Now I want to talk about the deontological theory in this article. Based on what was summarized, judgment on Naga and Tran follows the deontological theory, as it used the rules to distinguish right from wrong. This theory comes from the Greek word "jons," meaning duty, also known as duty-based ethics. The central concept is duty. The deontological theory can apply for this situation because Singapore law stipulates that anyone who sells, manufactures, or delivers drugs in excess of a certain amount, such as 15 grams of heroin or 500 grams of marijuana, will be sentenced to death. But it can also be commuted to life imprisonment in certain circumstances, such as drug trafficker is not involved in other criminal acts or mental problems. Besides, based on the deontological theory which associated with Immanuel Kant, state that we should follow the Singapore law that Naga and Tran should be sentenced to death, as he was found guilty trafficking about grams 1.5 pounds of heroin into Singapore. Besides, according to the Singapore court cite testimony from a psychiatrist saying that he had known disability and was aware of his behavior at the time of crime. Deontological theory was classified under non-consequentialist theory. It acting unjustly is wrong even if maximized unexpected utility. The rightness or wrongness of an act or system of a rule. For example, it does not depend on the goodness or badness of the consequences. In conclusion, Naga and Tran should be sentenced to death because he has done the wrong things. That's all from me. Now I want to hand to Jin Kai.
Thank you, Xingyi. I'm Jin Kai, and now I would like to talk about our group's opinion on these issues. And our group decided to execute Naga and Tran. This is because based on utilitarianism theories, morality advocate actions that foster happiness or pleasure, or on the other hand, it also says that it opposes actions that create unhappiness or harm. Based on these theories, even though the decision to execute Naga and Tran may not be ideal for his family, however, this would bring more happiness to the greatest number of people in Singapore, which is the society of Singapore. By executing Naga and Tran, this could act as an warning to the society, and the other drug trafficker will not dare to traffic drugs into Singapore. And in the end, this will lessen the drug trafficking cases in Singapore. Despite the fact that the subordinate rules said that we should not kill, should not lie, and should not steal. However, according to John Stuart Mill, he says that pleasure are being categorized as two, which is the higher pleasure and lower pleasure. And in this situation, the higher pleasure will always be superior to lower pleasure. Hence, executing Naga and Tran is not wrongdoing, as it may bring higher pleasure to the society of Singapore, even though we had to break the subordinate rules. That's all from our group. Thank you for lending us your ear.